So now let's bring in our legal analyst, Stephanie Haney. Steph, we know a part of this case has already been decided, but what do we know now at this moment here?
Okay, as we get into the facts of what's happening in this case, we know the judge in the case, Arthur and Goron, has already determined that there was fraud in the case. Donald Trump and his two oldest sons, Don Jr. and Eric, among others, along with the Trump organization as a whole, are liable for fraud for lying about the value of Trump's property. They exaggerated property values by $2 billion in order to land deals and get better rates on things like loans and insurance.
Okay, a lot going on here, Steph. So maybe, can we kind of go a click deeper here? Can you break this down? Maybe what are some examples that we should be aware of here?
Sure, yeah, I'll give you two specific examples from the court's findings. First, we can start with Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. That was overvalued on one financial statement by as much as 2,300%. And in New York, where this case is happening, Trump lied about the size of his apartment. He listed his 3-story penthouse in Trump Tower as being almost 3 times as big as it actually is, and valued it at $327 million, which proved to be an overvaluation.
And so what would the consequences for these things be?
Yeah, a lot going on here. Here's what we know for sure. Already, based on the judge's ruling so far in the case, the judge ordered certificates to be canceled that 10 of Trump's businesses need to operate. These are some of his most well-known properties that would be affected. Those include Trump Tower in Manhattan and his golf clubs in New York. The judge has also ordered an independent monitor to oversee Trump Organization business affairs. It was a really scathing opinion ruling that came down from this judge, talking about how the organization had proven to be fraudulent in its actions.
Okay, so what still needs to be decided in the trial right now? Let's get deeper. And what are the possible penalties here? I mean, you kind of touched on them a bit.
Sure. Well, as much has already been determined, there is a lot left to decide here. There are more allegations of fraud that Judge Goron will have to consider. He'll look at evidence to determine whether Trump, his sons, and associates also broke state law by falsifying documents, whether they conspired to falsify business records, issue false business statements, and issue false financial statements, and also whether they committed insurance fraud. And then there's determining the punishment here for the fraud that's already been proven, along with any additional violations. The Attorney General is asking for $250 million. Now, that's the estimated worth of benefits that Trump and his associates received from all of the alleged fraud. And then the state also wants Trump and his 2 oldest sons and daughter Ivanka Trump to be banned from serving as an officer or a director in a New York company. And they're also looking at trying to get a ban from working in commercial real estate for 5 years for the people involved in the Trump Organization.
Now, I think something a lot of people are wondering at this point, Steph, is will Trump testify? I mean, we just saw he was in court, and we know he didn't have to be.
That's right, and we heard Jay Gray saying that he said he's excited about the possibility. But we see that a lot from the former president. He'll say that he'll testify in these cases and then not actually do it. Now, he is listed on both the prosecution's and the defense's witness lists. Now, even if the prosecution calls him to the stand, he can invoke the protection of the Fifth Amendment and exercise his right not to incriminate himself. Now, that's even though this is a civil trial. The reason for that is there's still the possibility of criminal charges tied to these allegations that he's facing here. So even if he is called, my estimate is that we won't hear anything from him except I plead the Fifth, and in my legal opinion, he can only hurt himself by testifying here.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people will be watching this play out, so thank you very much for breaking that down for us, and we know you'll have more for us at 5.
That's right. We'll be looking at the months to come, and even in the next year at the 5 o'clock show.
All right, Steph, thanks so much.